Hey everyone, Dr. Chesrob is with you again. Part 4 of Magnus Plays the Vienna. Let's try to see what happened here. This is the game where Magnus played against a Min Le, we're a strong grandmaster. He's quite famous from like winning lots of Title Tuesday tournaments and other events as well. So after e4, e5, Magnus played immediate f4, which is the king's gambit, but we know that this can transpose to the Vienna. After he takes f4, knight c3. And we know that the most dangerous move is queen h4 check, which black can play immediately as well. Actually, it happened in the game because after knight c6, Magnus played at d4. He didn't care about queen h4. He said, like, you can do it. And now we get the Steinitz variation. In the final part of this video, I'm going to show you the Steinitz game as well, like who created this entire system. He played the Vienna lots of times. So king e2, and meanwhile, I played the move d6. According to the engine, b6 is the best, but there are so many crazy lines. The main idea is that after knight f3, black wants to do check, and this king has no good squares to escape. And after king d2, there is queen f2 check. This is, of course, very annoying for white. If bishop e2, there is like knight d4, then queen e3 check. The bishop is hanging, so black can win. But white has a move, knight b5. Bishop a6 to pin it, a4 to defend, long castle to defend the pawns, knight f3 logical. Here h3 trying to get this queen away and then capture the pawn on f4. Queen g3 still, the queen insists to be there, queen e1. Rook e8, queen g3. If rook captures c4, we have king d3, and then the rook will fall. So that's why black needs to capture. They can't do in between move. King d1. Now black's best move is knight f6 according to the engine. If rook takes c4, then there is knight g5. So you can see that this is a total mess, and you need to try to analyze it, understand the moves one by one, but we're not talking about it. So in today's video, we will try to understand what's going to happen if our opponent captures on f4 and then does this queen h4 move. d6, knight f3, the usual response, bishop to g4, bishop takes f4. The main lines, according to the engine, is immediate long castle or knight e7. The idea is to bring the pieces out. Mille played bishop takes f3, so he gets to the usual positions, but his one tempo down, white will not play h3 anymore. And after bishop f3, king f3, knight f6 seems like, oh, this is strong. Now queen will get to g4 check, and there can be a powerful attack, but g3, very important move. Queen h5, and then king g2. Captures. I want to show you that this pawn structure is so strong that even in the middle game, white has amazing chances to create an attack, which will happen in the Wilhelm Steinitz game, the founder of the Vienna, we can say. So g3, queen h5, here takes, and Magnus will show his technique one more time. Long castle, bishop c4. Two bishops, great center, f7 is hanging. Black's best move maybe is like rook d7. There is e5. There is just rook e1 or rook f1. White's position is so good. You have just all the strategical advantage in the world here. And this is what Magnus needed. Mille tried to solve the issues with tactics, but he missed one very important moment. Small part is knight g5. You missed it, the game is lost because black didn't get anything. They didn't even get the pawn for the exchange. Both rooks are hanging. Just knight takes h8, rook takes h8, and then pawn d5. So one more time. Knight captures c4 seems very good because now we will crush the center. We'll do the double attack, and then sudden knight g5, aiming for the pawn. Because we know that we will lose the knight or the bishop, let's get one of the rooks. Knight f7, which is a fork. And then bishop e7, knight to h8, rook to h8. The position is absolutely winning for white. But look at Magnus Carlsen's technique, how precise he plays the game. d5, if you have a chance to play active, continue with it. Because with d5 move, you will force black's knight to get to a worse position. If knight goes back to b8 or d8, black's position will be a bit worse than it was one move before. Knight b4, very strong move. Pawn to a3. Of course, not c3. We're not going to give him a very cool outpost, even though this is winning for us, but there is no need. So a3. If knight captures c2, we can try to trap the knight, even though black has some g5 attacking the bishop, and then the knight can escape. But the rook c1 is pretty strong. And then the rook c4, after c5 takes en passant. A cool rule French words. So d4 and then push, bring the rook out. White's position is absolutely winning, again, especially for Magnus Carlsen. Black played the move knight to a6. Again, another strong move, pawn d6. We have rooks. We need to open up the position at least a bit. We mustn't exchange all the pawns, but some of them, so we can play by the rooks, by the full power. Takes, and then bishop captures on d6. If bishop takes, then we do rook takes d6, and the other rook will go to the other open file, like e, d, and f are ready for the rooks. Black played bishop f6, trying to remain some material on the board, just pawn c3. We know that when we're up in the material, we need to exchange, but we need to try to exchange the right pieces. Sure, we can do this. White position should be winning, but this bishop will defend the pawn on g7, can attack in some positions. The bishop is quite strong. Magnus played rook e1. The knight is really bad. And then bishop e5. Because if this bishop is gone, the rooks will get what they deserve the most, the 7th rank. So they want to get there as soon as possible, and Magnus accomplished it. You know, when you see Magnus Carlsen's games, you're like, chess is so easy. I'm gonna open chess.com and we'll play like this. And the problem is we can't. Unfortunately, we can understand it, but we can't play it. That's why he is so good. That's his greatness. It's simple, but at the same time, it's very, very hard. So h5, rook d4. Again, no any counterplay. Knight can't do anything. Pawn h4 is not there. No rush. Rook f7. Slowly collecting all the right fruits on a tree. The pawn is gonna fall. King h3 to not allow any check, because after rook e2, which is without check, then rook d8, knight c8, and then rook f8, the game is gonna be instantly over. a6. Rook captures f6 now, because the knight is hanging. After this move now, rook f2 to defend the pawn, so no chances for the counterplay. b5, either like rook d5 or rook h4, or just rook d7, rook d6. So many moves are winning the game in this position. After rook f2, Miele just resigned, because it's just a pure torture when you play such position against Magnus Carlsen. So don't go anywhere yet. I'm going to pause the video for a few seconds in order to open the next game of Wilhelm Steinitz, the founder, and we will see what's going on in that one. And only then we will finish the video. The game of Wilhelm Steinitz is here. So after e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, pawn to f4, captures, and then d4, we have the normal position of the Vienna Steinitz variation. King goes to e2. Back then, this game was played in like 1870. Wilhelm Steinitz versus Louis Paulsen. Like play d6, the most logical move. Here takes, and then long castle. Also, as I said, knight e7 is there. Pawn f5 is quite interesting. And then king f3. White wants to capture the queen on h4 with the knight. Black played queen h5. You will see how many unnecessary moves black will do with this queen, thinking that they will preserve the two bishops. Later it will not work, and you will see that black is going to be in a big, like, real trouble. So the best move was bishop f3, let's say queen f3, and then try to develop the knight or the rook, or push immediately g5 and then bishop g7, attack the pawn. Black needed to do something very fast. And of course, Magnus knew about this game, and he tried to play a similar way. Let's check it out now. Queen h5, bishop e2. This king is totally fine in the center. Still, black needed to push f5 in order to get some counterplay, and also get a chance to leave with the queen to e8, aim for the king. This could give black something. Instead, black played queen a5, a very bad move. a3, the idea is to try to trap her queen at some point. Bishop takes, and now king f3, very strong move. If bishop takes f3, seems the best. After g5, back, then bishop g7, black will get some counterplay against the pawn on d4. So after king f3, queen h5 check, king e3 again, queen h4. Look how many moves black queen did. So queen went to h4 check, then here, then again back. Now again queen h4. White just pushes b4. g5, bishop g3. One more time, black's queen needs to move. Queen h6, b5. Knight e7, rook f1, very powerful move. Knight f6, king f2, and finally king g1. Yeah, this is the moment where we can believe that white is controlling everything, and the outcome of the game is crystal clear. Black's arm is completely disconnected from each other, and white's position is very strong. The pieces are very coordinated. Everybody knows what's going on. There is no chaos. And why I like this game so much, because it was like first steps of mine in the professional chess career. I was like 10 or 11, and my rating was about 2000, 2100. And I saw this game. I'm like, this is amazing strategically. How white brought the king out, took the center, then slowly brought it back. And you will see eventually how white crushed black's queen side, because this king was going to be quite weak. You have a position with the opposite side. Castle, try to do a pawn storm. Queen d2 attacking the pawn on g5, then of course a4. Rook g8. And this is a classic example of how to do the pawn storm in the fastest way. Lots of players will do a5, b6. Sure, that's good. But Steinitz plays b6 first. He wants to sacrifice the pawn to not waste any time. If black captures with the a pawn, you can play immediate a5, but Steinitz did something else, which is even stronger. Rook captures f6. Now the d5 square is empty, so bishop g4 check. First, this queen will not get to e6, and then knight d5, and then a5. Look at black's position. Look at this thrombus there, like in medical terms. Like, it's completely clogged. Black can't do anything. How can you toss the queen to this side? The bishop, the knight, the rook. It's not going to work. For example, if knight e7, just a takes b6. Here, rook a8 check, Damiano's checkmate, because now the c8 square is taken by the mighty bishop. If b5, then a6, again opening the game, b6, a7, here, knight c7 is winning the game. You can play just a8, and look, this is really funny. Look at black's position for now. Lone king with some pawns, checkmate comes in a move or two, and look at all against all of them. Of course, white can play immediate queen c3 check, and then like bishop d7. This is more computery stuff than queen c6 and win the game. There's so many ways to do that. Desperately, black played the move f5. It's not going to work. A takes. Black is not in time to capture the bishop, because this was going to be a check, knight defense, and then the rook is going to be gone. C takes, knight b6, because now after takes, check. Here, check. The only move, check. Here, checkmate, because after king d7, they're just queen d8. In this position, black played knight e7, and you can win anyhow you want. E takes f5 is completely winning. Queen b4 is winning the game instantly, because there is a threat of queen d6 or rook d6 or bishop d6, and then takes, it's a checkmate. If king to c7, then knight a8, bishop f5. So now, like here, takes, queen d6, here, checkmate. So, but we will not criticize, Wilhelm Stein is the first ever champion of the world for such small inaccuracy. Come on, who we are? We're just normal chess players, not a genius like him. So e takes f5, queen f7, pawn f6 in order to open up the bishops again. So if queen takes, then there is this check, there is knight d7, everything is winning for white. Black played knight c6, too late to bring the knight. c4, slow but sure to win. b5, queen a2, and then here queen a2, knight b5. Just do whatever you want. White's position is so good that they don't want to capture the knight. Still, we have two minor pieces. This pawn is very strong. We're winning. It's like plus 10 in this position. But white just plays knight d5 and says, I'm going to checkmate you in one move. Like that, queen takes d5, c takes. back then they played the games until the end, but nowadays, of course, everybody would resign, check, and then rook c1, knight c6, and final rook c6 checkmate. This brought me some memories because I explored this game, the book of Kasparov, and I saw this game. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. How can someone play chess in 19th century? They didn't have a theory, they didn't have lots of books to learn from. Nowadays we have everything that even the YouTube, you can find lots of stuff there. My videos as well, of course, Magnus Carlsen's videos, a lot about the Vienna. Wilhelm Steinitz just crushed Louis Paulsen this way. One more time, the king can be strong in the center. It's rare, but Steinitz proved that sometimes it works. We will finish the lessons of the Vienna, how Magnus Carlsen plays the Vienna this way with the game of Wilhelm Steinitz. So I hope that the video series helped you to understand how the world champions, not only one world champion, thinks, how the greatest of all time thinks, how he plays the Vienna, and wish you to win lots of games with this cool opening line. See you in the next videos. Like, subscribe, leave your comments. Dr. Chessrob was with you. Ciao.